It is unbelievable how having a basic understanding of your contract can just make you feel more empowered.
Running a building business can be challenging at times, and builders can be experiencing a lot of day-to-day problems where they're tearing their hair out, really struggling, can't understand why these things keep happening, and they're causing themselves lots of drama, extra costs, wasted time and energy. What's a really simple way for builders to avoid the issues that may be happening in their business and projects every day?
So builders probably aren't going to think of it like this, but they all have access to a really great rule book that will actually help set the expectations. It'll outline what they need to do to execute their projects, to deal with their clients, and it's called the contract. But they all just look over it. I think looking back from my personal experience, I definitely didn't think of the contract as a rule book. And to be honest, I looked at the contract as something that I was scared of because I thought I didn't have the education to understand it. I definitely didn't think I had the education to execute by it. But it's there, and it's something that we have in place, or if you don't have one in place, you're in big trouble. But ultimately, builders have a contract on every project they do. And if we actually took the time to read through it and you don't have to know it back to back, but just get a basic understanding of it, it is a rule book for your business.
Yeah, I remember hearing in legal circles that the best contract is one that you sign and then you put away in the drawer and you never look at again because you haven't had any problems and had to refer back to it. But I think that's a big mistake when it comes to building homes and renovations, because the contract in a home renovation or build actually does become a fantastic rule book and a great way that not only you can understand as a builder how to execute things, but you can also show to the client who's signing that contract with you and who is your partner in that contract what they can come to expect from the project as well. And when you've both got that document and you've read that document and you understand what's in that document, that can be amazing in terms of simplifying a lot of the problems that a lot of builders have.
It is unbelievable how having a basic understanding of your contract can just make you feel more empowered. Like it will change the way you communicate with your clients on site and through the early stages of any design process, because the contract, especially when you get to the back of it and you start reading through the clauses and the definitions, it actually sets out how you are supposed to deal with time extensions, variations, delay costs, latent conditions, all these things that builders will be getting coming up on their sites and having difficult situations with clients. And a lot of builders will let these things drag on till it gets to a point where it's the end of the job, they're struggling for cash, and the client's now in a position where they're not wanting to pay because they haven't been sent the appropriate paperwork, they haven't been informed of variations, they haven't even had any, they haven't signed any paperwork. And yet these days, with all the associations and what we have, a lot of this stuff is online. So it's far easier to use and it's very simple. And when you start running your projects by your contract, you are being seen as a professional. Clients are looking at you and they're seeing you as, this is a business. I've signed a contract with him and we need to follow this contract to execute our project. And it does take so much of that, skirting around the edges away, because you're executing your job as per your rule book. The client's been informed of the rule book and now they're aware of what's going to happen. And one thing that we do in our business is we say to our clients right off the bat when we're signing the contract, look, don't get taken aback a bit if you receive emails from us and it refers to clauses in the contract, because we're running our business, we're following through. And so we have that conversation up front, we inform them about what we're going to do, and if things do come up throughout the job, we simply just refer back to clauses and definitions and we execute our jobs as per our rule book.
I think I've seen so often, unfortunately, builders get themselves into so much trouble because when a client hires a builder, they often forget that they're hiring a business and entering a legal arrangement because they're doing something that's really personal to them. They're building their long-term family home, and there's a lot of personal ambition and aspiration and money wrapped up in that. And they're dealing with a person, and so it becomes this very personal thing. And if you're having conversations regularly and all of that kind of stuff, then you can see builders start to handle things informally, and the client also handles things informally. So that can mean that they might change their mind about something and they say, oh, look, I saw this on the weekend. Could we instead do this? Could we look at changing that light fitting or, the electrical, or can I speak to you about, doing this? And far too often builders forget that, or they are not aware that there's a contractual procedure. And if they're not taking that to the client and saying to the client, well, this is when this contractual procedure comes in. So, for example, a variation. And in the definitions of the variation, it does give a step-by-step process of how you're supposed to execute a variation. And then they just handle that informally, then they get themselves into so much trouble, because at the point when a builder, all of a sudden, their cash flow's struggling, they realise that they've not been running their job well, they're running out of money, they're not getting paid, and they get to the end and they suddenly go, oh gosh, I better actually look at the contract. Or a lawyer, they've got a lawyer involved or got some legal advice, and the lawyer's saying, have a look at the contract, and they go back and they say, oh, I haven't been giving any notice of these variations in writing. I haven't been doing quotes before we've been proceeding with these variations. You've got very little to stand on in trying to then deal with what you're going to do to turn the situation around. And, once a client understands that they've signed a legal agreement that actually sets out that rule book for them, then you can set and manage their expectations, and you can completely depersonalise why you're having to do things the way that they are. Even though it might come across initially as harsh, a client will understand, okay, well, this is the way the contract needs to work, so therefore that's what I can come to expect. And it actually gives them some certainty and some confidence, because they can then see, okay, well, this is professional, and I can look at what these definitions are and I can understand what I can come to expect. Yeah,
and it's really important for builders to realise as well, like, you need to get yourself in a position where if the contract is something that you struggle with, like, you need to employ someone to help you with that. And whether that's a full-time employee, or you get it reviewed by a lawyer, or you take advantage of your association. Like, all of our associations offer advice on this sort of stuff. But the contract is a rule book to execute your projects. And one thing that I am sick and tired of hearing is builders that blame the industry. Like, they get to the end of a job, they haven't done any paperwork for variations, like, it's not even like the old days. Like, they haven't even had a handshake. Like, it's all just been verbal on site. And again, they're stuck in that cycle. They're too busy. You feel that you don't have enough time. You've had a site meeting. You've had a discussion. The client said, yeah, no worries. That's fine. Go ahead and do that. You might not have even given them any cost for the extra work. And then you get to the next drawer or the end of the job, and you wonder why they're not paying. And yeah, it drives me insane when at the end of the day, you've actually got a rule book that is in your business, that's available to you, and you're not stepping up, you're not owning it, you're not taking responsibility and reading through it so that you can run your projects by the rules that are already in place.
Yeah, so have a read through that contract that you sign with your clients. Think about it as the rule book for being able to simplify your projects so that you can avoid a lot of the everyday issues that you might be experiencing.